CHAMPS Live is presented by Lawrence Technological University, where Blue Devils dare, Hungry Howie's, famous for flavor, and the Detroit Medical Center. Do you have a sports injury or are just looking to take your game to the next level? Go where the pros go. Visit dmc.org/gamechangers. Well, hi, everyone, and welcome inside the State Champs Sports Network home studio for episode 51 of State Champs Live, presented by Lawrence Tech. You know, Lawrence Technological University ranks in the top 1/3 of private nonprofit four-year colleges nationally in spending on student services, according to a new survey from the Chronicle of Higher Education. The Chronicle surveyed over 1,000 institutions. Lawrence Tech spends nearly $6,000 per full-time student. This is money invested in maximizing the student's preparedness for a very rewarding career in over 100 degree programs. Choose a university that is one of the highest in the nation in investing in you. Find out more at ltu.edu. We are live right now on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter every Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. My name is Lauren Plant, and State Champs Matt Mowery, along with Scott Bernstein, have compiled the top 300 football recruits for the upcoming season. We dive into that today with Matt Mowery. But first, let's get to the headlines for Thursday, June 11th. NASCAR bans Confederate flag. The flag of the Confederacy is no longer welcome at NASCAR events, answering a request from its lone full-time black driver, Bubba Wallace, to banish the symbol. It was a move applauded by many, including the NAACP. And although not without those who disagree, the move has been a long time coming. The issue was raised 5 years ago when former NASCAR chairman Brian France made an effort to move the sport away from the symbol in the wake of its association with Dylan Roof's mass shooting in a South Carolina church. Ypsilanti native gives back. He didn't graduate from Ypsilanti Lincoln, leaving town to attend IMG Academy as a senior before 4 years of college football stardom got him drafted by the Vikings this spring. But KJ Osborne has never forgotten where he's from. Wednesday, he started the distribution of more than 600 free bottles of hand sanitizer, purchased with a portion of his signing bonus, to folks picking up meals from Ypsilanti Lincoln's food distribution program, giving back to the community that raised him. Kudos, KJ. MAC creates standalone conference for esports. A dozen schools from the Mid-American Conference announced plans to set up a standalone esports conference, the Esports Collegiate Conference, outside of the horizon of intercollegiate athletics, meaning that programs will be able to recruit competitors who've already turned pro or made money from gaming, not just amateurs. The 12 founding members include all three Michigan MAC schools, Eastern, Western, and Central Michigan. And the league will hold fall and spring seasons and crown a champion in each game title. Okay, so those are the headlines. Let's get to today's Hungry Howie's Twitter question of the day. How do you feel about the Tigers draft pick of Spencer Torkelson? You love it? Meh. You hate it? Or we'll see. Find State Champs Michigan on Twitter and vote. We'll read the results tomorrow. Well, after tackling the very exciting Michigan Football Helmet Challenge, State Champs digital managing editor, along with Scott Bernstein, have created the State Champs Top 300, an enormous undertaking to rank the top football recruits in the state, but extremely informative as you hear more about the names you know and those who you will know. Matt Mowery joins us today. Thanks for doing this, Matt.
Not a problem, not a problem. Do I get a gold watch for being on for the 5th time? I think this is number 5, isn't it?
You're a 5-timer. All right. Good job, my man. Yes, exactly. We have to come up with some sort of gift. What is the State Champs 300 and where did you find it?
Well, what we kind of wanted to do is we wanted to, like you said, give more attention to not necessarily those guys who are going to high-level schools, the guys who have 30 offers. We still have them in there too, but we also wanted to give more attention to that 2021 class, the guys that are really hurting because there hasn't been any spring football, there hasn't really been any summer 7-on-7s. A lot of their recruiting has been set back a little bit. And quite honestly, if you only do 50 or so recruits, you end up kind of regurgitating the same names over and over again. So when Scott and I sat down and talked about it first, what we really wanted to do was give it more depth and give it more names that maybe people haven't heard of. I mean, we're still going to have the attention on those guys at the very top of the recruiting lists that everybody kind of knows, and those guys have the attention that they well deserve. But this is just an effort to bring attention to as many kids as we possibly could.
So, how did you come up with the 300 number? It's kind of got a gladiator theme to it there. And how did you break it up?
Well, I actually tried to, when I was making the logo, incorporate the Gladiator kind of 300 script logo, and it didn't really work very well. So
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
number was almost reverse engineered. Like I said, I wanted to give attention to some of those guys that get squeezed out by the attention the guys with the high D1 offers get. These are a lot of the guys after maybe 80 on that list are guys who are not going to necessarily end up starring in the Big Ten, but maybe in the MAC or in the GLIAC or even in the MIAA at the Division III level. Well, and take KJ Osborne that we just talked about a minute ago, for example. He was a two-star recruit in high school, and he was ranked number 344 in the state of Florida as a senior before going to Buffalo and then Miami. Eh, This is for that kind of player. And as we went along, I mean, it just kind of evolved as we kept adding names. And obviously, you want to get to a round number because having the top 257 just sounds kind of silly. So we started with the top 130 recruits. Then we have 100 more players from the class of 2021, broken down by position groups into 7 different posts. And then we have 70 more kids from either the class of 2022, 2023, 2024, or at the very end, we posted a dozen specialists, the guys who really don't get a lot of attention, unless maybe they miss a kick at the end of a game. Those guys don't get enough love either, so we wanted to make sure to have a post of them. And we have basically a table of contents posted on the website if you go there. It's got the links to all of these different posts right in it, and you can follow the links from that one to any of the others.
All right. So, looking at the top 130, and I think that's a great way to do it. Absolutely. Those who follow recruiting know a lot of the top guys. Who are some people we might not know?
Well, another guy that obviously has been getting more and more attention over the last year is Will Johnson, who's the number one prospect in the state in the class of 2022. Cornerback from Grosse Pointe South. He got 24 offers, including LSU, Notre Dame, Ohio State, and Michigan. 6'3" kid. His dad Dion played it at Michigan. He's that prototype cornerback, big, rangy, athletic. Then right behind him is Josh Burnham from Traverse City Central 2022 class again. He's got 11 offers, including Michigan, Ohio State, Cincinnati. Those are probably the guys that are going to be competing to be at the very top of the list next year when we do it again. Then another guy that really kind of flew under the radar in the 2021 class was Austin Roon, a linebacker from Byron Center. Committed to Syracuse. He had 12 different offers. A big dude at 6'4", 220, but runs a 4.5, 340. He's going to play the Mike linebacker spot in Syracuse's new 3-3-5 defense. And then a kid that I really liked when I saw him play in the finals, Nolan Ziegler from Grand Rapids Catholic Central, another bigger kind of hybrid linebacker safety. 7 offers right now. He had a brother who played at Hillsdale and another brother who played at Illinois, a grandfather who played at Michigan, and another grandfather who was on the 1973 national championship team at Notre Dame.
Fantastic. And now, aside from our top 130, you've got 100 more from the class of 2021 broken down into position groups. What's behind that portion of the list? And did any of the position groups stand out?
Yeah, again, a lot of these guys are the guys who very easily could have jostled their way into the bottom of that top 130 ranking if you just did, if you just ranked the class of 2021. But once we started adding in the 2022s and the 2023s, some of these guys got bumped down a little bit. But again, these are the guys who you're going to hear, playing at Ferris and playing at Northwood. A couple of the groups did really stand out. Really good group of quarterbacks. You've got Drew Collins from Montague, who could play quarterback or linebacker at the next level, 6'3", 210, threw for 28 touchdowns, ran for 16. He's got an FCS offer from Valparaiso, had interest from the Ivy League schools. Brady Hesbrook, the latest in the line of those Ithaca quarterbacks. They seem to churn them out every year. A little bit smaller than Drew at 6 foot 190, but also plays both ways, quarterback, free safety, more than 2,000 combined yards last year, 23 touchdowns. Has Culver Stockton offer, Valparaiso, Northwood, Wayne State, Northern Michigan. Then a couple more to mention. Flint Kersley's quarterback, Braylon Silvas, who led them to their first ever playoff win last fall. And Jacob Busamra from North Farmington, a taller kid, also had 24 touchdowns, more than 2,000 combined yards. Perfect regular season for North Farmington last year. Netted him an offer from Valparaiso. Valparaiso came through a couple weeks ago and just offered a bunch of kids in the state, and those I think all four of those kids had Valparaiso offers. And the other position group that was really deep, I thought, was linebacker, and probably a couple to mention in there. Derek Dreyer from Ithaca, Saginaw Area Defensive Player of the Year, 164 tackles last year. His recruiting's been a little slower, hasn't necessarily gotten the offers. He's got an NAIA offer from Culver Stockton. And a kid I really like is Drake Deshetsky from North Branch. Just he's got that prototypical linebacker size, 6'2", 232 pounds. He's got offers from Columbia, Grand Valley, Northwood, Penn, Valparaiso. Could be a fullback or a tight end if he plays offense. He just likes to run people over. And then a couple
Nice.
of others, Andrew Debris from DeWitt, Sheldon Huff from Joburg, and Luke Snyder from Charlevoix. I mean, it was a really deep class of those linebackers.
Yeah, fantastic. It's always fun when we can find out about guys, and that we've never heard of, but we're probably going to. I know you have a few in that category.
Yeah, one of my favorites was Blake Smithers from tiny little Elkton Pigeon Bayport, Laker High out in the Thumb. Defensive tackle, he's 6'1", 295 pounds. He finished second back in March at a state powerlifting meet. In deadlift 600 pounds, bench 315, and squat 515. He had 14 tackles for loss last year. You watch his film, he's always in the backfield, and he's one of those guys, also wrestles a little bit. He's one of those guys that just knows how to use his strength to his advantage. Another one is Lansing Catholic, when they won the title last year, had a lot of upperclassmen that a lot of people knew the names of. One of the underclassmen, there are a couple of 2022s that really stood out. Bo Poljan on the offensive line, and Alex Waters, the wide receiver who also plays point guard on the basketball team. Slot receiver and defensive back in football, 44 catches, 14 touchdowns. It was, like I said, it was an upperclassman studded roster, but he really stood out. And then Tanner Worth from Pewamo, Westphalia, another team that had a lot of upperclassmen, but he single-handedly outscored PW's opponents by 145 points. He's a littler dude, but he can run with some serious power, ran for 24 touchdowns, scored 208 total points, which in most programs, that's huge. But, Jared Smith was there a couple years ago, just racked up the points. So, and then another guy, Derek Volz from Carleton, cornerback, wide receiver, also plays basketball. He's just one of those athletes that you can put almost anywhere on the field, and he's good at whatever position you put him at.
All right. Hey, if you have a question, and we got at least one so far regarding the state champs top 300, Matt can take it. If you've got some criticism, it's all good. Ask it now, and I'll get to them in just a minute. But first, let's review what happened this week in state champs history. We go to 2007 and the Division I Baseball State Championship between Lake Orion and Farmington. First time since 2000 that two teams from the same league competed for the Division I state title. We go to the bottom of the seventh. Game tied at 3. Lake Orion's Nick Dunstan, the single up the middle. Joe Barnes coming around to score, and the walk-off win. Lake Orion won its first baseball state title in school history. Final score, 4-3. This week in State Champs history is presented by Lawrence Tech Athletics. Recruit yourself at ltuathletics.com. All right, fun fact for that is the opposing pitcher in that particular was Cam Fowler, who you might know is of the Anaheim Mighty Ducks fame. So I think that was the last pitch he ever threw, and then went on to play with the U.S. National Development Team, and of course is in the NHL doing quite well. So I just thought that was interesting. He was a sophomore when that took place. So let's get to the questions for Matt Mowery in the State Champs Top 300. Perry Simon wants to know, why is Damon Payne not the number one player. He's a 5-star. He's the only player in his class that's ranked inside the top 20 in the country.
Well, that's when Scott and I hashed it out, we both had our top lists, and both of us had Donovan Edwards at the top of our lists. Eh, you're not wrong if you pick any of those guys who are in the top 5. All of them are studs. All of them are absolutely, gonna have big time collegiate careers. So, eh, if you guys if Damon Payne is the guy that you like better, again, like I said, no one is wrong whichever one of those that you picked, but it just happened when Scott and I worked it out and kind of plotted out our list. We both had Donovan rated ahead of him, just by a hair.
There you go. There you go. It's all subjective. It's like fine art. It's the eye of the beholder. I can tell you, too, that we're going to have a fantastic State Champs Anvil Award competition with Damon Payne, Rocco Spindler, Garrett Dellinger, others. It's going to be fantastic to see. Giovanni El-Hadi is going to be another one. I mean, it's going to be really, really, really fun to see how that one breaks out. Of course, Mr. Football will be exciting. Donovan Edwards will be at the top of anybody's list. So that will be happening as soon as we find out the high school football is happening. So another comment, Julian Graham says, when will we know if Little League football will be played this year? My son plays for the Southfield Falcons. I believe that they have already said that's not going to happen.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything official, and obviously that's going to be kind of on a league by league basis.
Okay,
That's
because
probably
Powell
a
said
question
no.
that they could answer. Yeah, Pal said no. I know that one, and I know Little League Baseball kind of left it up. There were going to be no national tournaments, but I do not know as far as football if that's going to happen or not. It's a valid question. I'd like to know the answer too as well. But
Yeah.
yeah, I haven't seen anything official that's kind of a nationwide answer.
All right, and you kind of alluded to it already, but one more. How did you determine the top of the list? Like, say, the top 5.
Yes. Yeah, Scott and I just kind of made up our own list, and that's how we usually do a lot of the things. If we're gonna, have a list of candidates for Mr. Football or the Anvil, we usually just kind of come to a general consensus. Um, and that's we just kind of both made up our lists and kind of compared them and did a little bit of jostling here or there if one person had somebody significantly lower than the other one, and then we rechecked it a couple of times at the very end just to make sure, because every once in a while you'll get a kid who gets a late offer, and we were working on it for several weeks, so we'd bump somebody up a little bit, but a lot of it's based on where they're ranked in nationally and where they're ranked by the recruiting services, and what it also we factored in, if they've been an all-state player or not. Those kind of things matter too.
Absolutely. And again, it's exhaustive work. These guys do their due diligence. So, you may not be happy exactly where somebody is particularly ranked, but what's great about the State Champs 300 is they've included so many guys who aren't going to be going to Power 5 schools, but we're just talking about high school football right now, and they did a really good job. I want to thank you again for coming on. Remind our viewers again on where they can check out the State Champs Top 300.
You can find the table of contents post on the main site, and if you're looking for each of the individual posts, you can either go through the table of contents links to the individual posts that you're looking for, or you can go on the State Champs Scout Team blog on the site, and that's on the drop-down menus. You can find that, and that has all of the rest of the individual posts right on
All
there.
right. Perfect. The URL, statechampsnetwork.com. Go check it out. Thanks again, Matt.
No problem.
All right. We have a great event happening this Monday night. Watch this. The annual Detroit Athletic Club Foundation's Male and Female Michigan High School Athletes of the Year celebration is premiering this Monday night, June 15th at 6 p.m. on all of the State Champs social media channels, our website, statechampsnetwork.com, our downloadable free streaming app, as well at dacathleteoftheyear.com and its companion Facebook page. Instead of choosing single winners, and let's face it, there are finalists who didn't even get a chance to have a spring senior season, we are celebrating all 12 in a great way. You'll see in-depth features on the likes of Muskegon's Mr. Football Cameron Martinez, Coldwater track and field phenom Dylan Taggart, Grand Haven superior swimmer Catherine Ackerman, and Novi soccer star Avery Fenchel, and 8 others. great interviews too with each finalist as we celebrate 12 incredible student athletes who exemplify the spirit of the class of 2020 one last time. Join us Monday night, June 15th at 6 p.m. here on the State Champs Sports Network for the Detroit Athletic Club's Michigan Male and Female High School Athletes of the Year celebration. All right, we are really, really proud to be partnered with the Detroit Athletic Club Foundation. We've been doing this for 4 years now. It's always one of the highlights of my year. And of course, we're all disappointed that we can't have the event at the beautiful DAC downtown Detroit like we have for the past 3 years. It will happen again. But the important thing is that we wanted to do our own salute to the seniors, the foundation committee members. Found it that there was no way we could not do something for them this year. And I think this is a great celebration. I think you guys are going to enjoy the stories, the great interviews and, just great insight on these 12 phenomenal athletes. So check it out Monday night at 6 p.m. right here on the State Champs Sports Network. Let's take a look at today's clip of the day. And that's your clip of the day. All right, speaking of the class of 2022, Vinny Booth there. Nice. Hey, send us your clip. We'll take a look at it, and perhaps it could be our clip of the day. All right, let's check out today's DMC Game Changers. Do you know how to pick an athletic shoe?
Do you pick your athletic shoe by picking the latest style or your favorite color, or do you use a team shoe? Well, if you answered yes to those, it's probably not the best thing for your feet. The shoe is the most important piece of equipment you can put on your body before a sport. Make sure you pick one with a good heel counter and a correct bend point, and that'll help prevent injury and improve your performance.
And that's just a taste of the full 2-minute version of choosing the right athletic shoe. We have 15 Game Changer segments, all of them on our website, statechampsnetwork.com, and our free app. There's a great playlist on our State Champs YouTube page as well. A lot of great information. Check it out. All right. Well, let's see the results of yesterday's Hungry Howie's Twitter question of the day. Do you think any Michigan high school players will be selected in the MLB draft? And we had no and no basically at a tie. And I will admit that I do not know if there was one draft in the first 5 rounds. I know it was highly unlikely. So I would imagine that is correct. I feel a little underprepared that I don't know that. I just was so excited to see Torkelson as a member of the Tigers. But speaking of baseball, join us tomorrow on live because Dan Cimini, he is the Grosse Pointe Woods University Liggett head coach, several times over state champ, just a phenomenal guy. He went through some health issues a few years back, but just a great advocate for the game. Well, as far as travel baseball goes, it's back in some states, including Ohio. In fact, Cimini is in the travel baseball world. He's in Ohio as we speak, and we're going to pre-record tomorrow's interview because he's going to be having a game taking place tomorrow at 2. But I felt it was important to talk to someone who's in a sport that is actually competing right now. So join us tomorrow at 2 p.m. As we talk baseball and the fact that it's back. So maybe this is just the beginning of when we can get competition going for everyone. So join us tomorrow at 2 p.m. And if you know of a guest we should talk to or about here on State Champs Live, please email our show coordinator. Her name is Amanda, and you can email her, Amanda@yellowflagproductions.com. That's all we have for today. Please enjoy the rest of your day. It's beautiful outside. We'll see you tomorrow.
Right now, we are all longing for the roar of a crowd, the excitement of a stadium filled with cheering fans, and the ecstasy of celebrating a hard-fought victory. Right now, we're all on the same team, and we must do our part to make sure as many students, athletes, coaches, teachers, parents, and loved ones are there when we have the luxury to resume our rivalries and start rooting for our teams once again. Stay home and stay safe.
State Champs Live is presented by Lawrence Technological University, where Blue Devils dare, Hungry Howie's, famous for flavor, and the Detroit Medical Center. Do you have a sports injury or are just looking to take your game to the next level? Go where the pros go. Visit dmc.org/gamechangers.